Behind this mask is the face of a friend and a lifelong partner in your war against Kingpin.
Well, Andrew, it is, the time has finally come. I never thought it would arrive, but here you are watching Daredevil Born Again with me.
We are here.
And, yeah, so I guess we'll introduce ourselves. This is going to be posted Nights of Nostalgia YouTube page, or channel, whatever we call it.
Beautiful.
Have you thought of a handle for yourself yet? I'm the Knights. I'm the Ghost.
If you want to call me Buster Poindexter, or
Buster Skeetsman's your name if you don't think of one.
God, no. Just, give it a week.
Yeah, so we're gonna we're gonna talk about Daredevil for a little bit, and then I'm gonna have some video clips and stuff of us watching episodes 5 and 6 of that, which just dropped tonight. But I wanted to have a little convo, a little dialogue with you, Andrew, about this show. But you are probably the most diehard Daredevil fan that I know personally. I'm sure there might be some people out there on the internet that out geek you or out nerd you. But I was a huge fan of the Netflix series.
Great show. 3
seasons. I think season 1 and 3 are like my top dogs. Season 2 it's still very good. It's just a little bit trailing.
Yeah.
But I really like the Frank Castle stuff in season 2. Some of the stuff with Fisk felt like a little bit repetitive, I remember. But Vincent D'Onofrio gives it his all. Charlie Cox gives it all. Everyone feels very passionate about the project in those seasons.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I did think of a handle. Sorry to step on your words there.
Okay.
I think I should just go by Catholic Guilt if we're doing any Daredevil themed episodes.
Of course.
No,
I wanted to bring up some Catholicism stuff.
Yeah.
Before we get going.
I do love Daredevil. He's been one of my favorite. I think he was actually maybe the first comic book I bought with my own money, actually. I think either Daredevil, Wolverine, or a random Shazam comic.
Yeah, and he's just like a low-level guy, too.
He was my mentor. He helped me to live up to the nickname that the kids used to tease me when they thought I was blind and helpless. The Daredevil. Now, I am confident.
Like he's down there with like the Spider-Mans and he's not fighting gods.
No, no, he's definitely like a street-level hero.
Right here, Kingpin, and the name's Daredevil.
His power is blindness, which is
he's got the power
a lot of people think is odd, but no, I remember my uncle who works in the film industry, massive comic book fan, was talking to me about him actually being on a TV movie they did with the Incredible Hulk. I vaguely remember like seeing the radar scenes, like showcasing his vision when I was a kid, and then like the comic books, that classic red costume I always thought was very cool. So yeah. I think that intrigued me from like a young age. But he has had some of the best runs of comics of any of the big 2 publishers, of any of the heroes from the big 2 publishers, and yet he's still not like, doesn't have the name recognition of, your Captain America's, Superman, Batman, like, but not even within any shouting distance. But if you ever go on any of those like comic book forums or Reddit or ask like classic runs of a character, Daredevil is always near the top for like Born Again, any of the Frank Miller stuff. But there's also about 20 years, Brian Michael Bendis has had several long runs with the character that were super well received by critics. Really, you're looking at about 45 years straight of top tier writing.
High praise. Yeah, he's got a lush history. The first thing I've ever seen Daredevil in, me and my friends used to play this game at our card shop, but it was like a little figurine miniature game. It was called Hero Clicks.
Okay.
And one of the first characters I got out of a pack was Daredevil, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? and my one buddy who knew about comic books was like, oh, he's like the blind guy.
Yeah.
That was my intro. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
What does he do? He's like, oh, he like beats people with sticks. I'm like, oh, okay.
Accurate.
And it's like that's not a fair sell to the character, because like if I were to describe Daredevil, like he does do that.
Yes.
But it's like underselling the idea of what makes it good, or what made because I never read the comics, the TV show. It would be similarly. It would be like saying like, oh yeah, Train to Busan is zombies on a train, and you hear that and you go, oh, I don't want to see that.
Right.
But then it's like, oh, everyone should, because it's
great
amazing.
movie.
But yeah, I would say so far with this new show that came out, I am fairly disappointed. don't think they got anywhere close to capturing the magic that was seasons 1 through 3. In fact, I think it's really falling into that writing trap where the characters are now acting really stupid and just weird stuff is happening.
Yes.
Character motivation is very, very odd.
Yes.
We shuffled out 2 of the main leads. Very boring replacements that have no agency or purpose other than to say, like, what's her name? Is it Heather or something? Who's the new DA that's working with Murdoch?
To your point, I still have no idea.
Oh, I have some notes here. And even then I can't remember. Oh no, Kirsten. Heather is the therapist. Heather's the new love interest. Yeah. So let's talk about the characters real quick, just because we're already here. Kirsten is boring, and yet all she like we're introduced to her, and all the dialogue is just like, oh wow, you're the best of the best.
Kristen, what did I tell you to get you to come over from the DA's office?
You said that I was brilliant, which was true.
She says this. She's like, she's like, remember why you brought me in, Maddie? Because I'm the best. The show doesn't show us why she's the best. It's just this thing where the characters keep saying how awesome they are without giving us any reason why. If anything, her intro to her, since she's a brand new character, her intro should be like stellar if they're going for super hype, intelligent, witty, whatever. Like show her do some kung fu in the courtroom. Not literal kung fu, but just like she... You know what I mean? Like, she does something in the courtroom that everyone's like, whoa, you know, and it's really clever, and it's like, wow, she won the case by doing this thing. Something like that. Don't just say, hey, I'm the best, and then we move on from that, and that's her character now.
It's the classic
I hate it.
Telling, not showing fault.
Yeah.
Right there. Great smile. That's all I know. I always think of her as the smiling lady. She's always smiling, always looks happy. Beyond that, yeah.
Right.
100%.
And yeah, I mean, Heather, I feel like there's nothing there either other than to be love interest.
Well,
and also to be
part of the character.
And then to also be conveniently / also Fisk and Vanessa's therapist, which seems like such a insane coincidence.
It's a bad beat.
I wouldn't do that. In fact, I would probably cut the fucking couples therapy out entirely. It feels like a huge chunk of the show, and I don't really want it there anymore. It's watching Cuckpin hang out in a therapist's office is just not fun.
Correct.
While he's constantly looking down at his bruised knuckles. I don't like it. I don't like Vanessa being like, oh, I'm actually running the empire better than he does.
I took over the business. It thrived. It had never been more profitable.
We make way more money now, and everything's more chill, you know, now that the Kingpin's gone. Why? I don't remember Vanessa ever being that way. I remember her finding out about Kingpin stuff and then her just being okay with it. I do not remember her being ambitious of like, I'm trying to run things myself. I also don't remember Kingpin being fully cucked by her. He's like protective of her, but he's not like subservient to like her needs like that. I don't know. I hate it. These don't feel like characters. I never watched Echo, but Kingpin got like his brain melted by magic that absolved his childhood trauma. So I don't know if that's canon that they're following up with that. That's why he's like meek now. I don't know.
What did you do?
First of all, I don't know what this show is Echo. I have no idea. Never heard of it.
That's a deaf woman. They've got a blind and a deaf now.
They've got a deaf. They've got a blind. Well, so I will say, I think part of the issue here, so it's been a little bit since I watched the Netflix series. I definitely, like I said, as a fan of the comic, probably had more critiques of it than your average person, even though I loved it. I think one of the things they're running into, though, is some of the storylines with Fisk and Vanessa were essentially wrapped up. Like,
yeah, like what else do you do with them?
Yeah, the arcs have happened. Where do we go from here?
And the end of season 3, if I'm remembering correctly, is Daredevil giving Fisk like a full-on ultimatum, saying he's coming after Vanessa if he ever comes back.
Right.
What happened to that?
Correct.
Is that ever
all wounds,
was that answered in She-Hulk or one of these other shows? I didn't watch She-Hulk. I didn't watch Echo. I know Kingpin shows up in both, but why isn't Maddie following through with this threat that, you know, was this major event that happened? That big three-way fight at the end of season 3 is great.
You're right.
Bullseye's great. Right. I really, really love that how they wrote Bullseye. So it's sad. Like, and yeah, I mean, Bullseye's only in one scene so far, and it's, you know, they hurt his character too because he's just not headshotting people because of plot convenience, because we want certain beats to happen.
Yeah, 100%.
Which leads us into, let's just talk about the fight scene in the beginning.
Yes.
Meh. It felt over CGI'd. They were having Daredevil do weird things like Spider-Man should have been doing, like jumping up onto the top of that building. It looks atrocious. The character models look awful most of the time. The fight was just a f***ing shell of what those cool fights were from the original show.
So I think read that one article about how they kind of Frankensteined the original series they were filming in with this new thing. My understanding is that was all added in the beginning.
Yes, like 7 or 8 episodes were fully reshot.
Right.
But I think this episode was the first episode. I'm not 100%, but I think it was going to be a later episode in the original season.
My understanding that was all added.
Oh, it was fully added.
It was like fully like new stuff to get him in the costume, all that stuff, the fighting. I am a little bit more. The CGI was bad. I like that though that they were trying to make it a little bit more. I think they were trying to achieve a medium between the Netflix show where it's like very, very grounded.
Very grounded, yeah.
Which was actually, it's kind of not.
That's why people
elevated.
fucking loved it to begin with, though. Like,
I agree, keep it intense, but you know, it's also not 100% aligned with what they say he's supposed to be able to do. Like, I mean, classically he's portrayed as. Well,
he's acrobat. He's like an acrobatic dude. I get it, but it's like one of those like. Nobody watched the original Daredevil because they wanted to see like the over-the-top acrobatics. They like that hallway scene is still talked about. And it's like a little 3-minute-long thing, you know.
Yeah.
And it still looks great,
right?
And it's you know, it's an homage to like movies like Old Boy and
The Raid,
and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's the very first scene. Spoilers, we already know. Foggy gets shuffled off very, very quickly. And I feel like we don't even get that much time to really dwell on it. We don't get any much.
We're all missing Foggy.
We all miss Foggy. There's theories that he's going to come back. There's theories he's going to come back because he fakes his death like 10 times in the comics. And apparently the street name is some sort of thing, a reference
I'm not
to
aware
that.
Of this.
There's the street name has something to do with the street name is like the name, maybe the name of the comic where that happens.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that. But my question is, how in the hell could they possibly write that Foggy faked his death there without it being really stupid? Bullseye's in on it.
In the
is that why he shoots him below the heart? Did Foggy take a drug to slow his heart down to full mat?
He knew it was
like,
all
how could that be a? It makes no sense. It would have to be really, really stupid for that to make any sense, to be a setup by Foggy to fake his death. Like, and also why was Karen in on it? If that's the case, like there'd be so many questions.
I don't think these writers have the skill to justify. That scene.
I also don't get why Bullseye would attack Foggy to begin with. That's strange. If anything, he would go after Fisk. He hated Fisk at the end of season 3.
Yeah, that's true. It is kind of in line with his character, though, to just like go after people just to hurt.
Yeah, that's fine. If his goal was to push, if it was like one of those things where it's like Joker trying to push Batman to break his code, I didn't buy that was what was going on here. I think Bullseye was just causing damage.
Yeah.
I don't think he had the motivation of like, go on, kill me, you know, right. Even though that's the end result, or at least he attempts to kill Bullseye.
Right.
Doesn't die for some reason. I've read some cope. People are like, oh yeah, he had his metal spine. That's why he didn't die. I'm like, he didn't fall on his spine. He fell on his face. Five stories.
This is man, I'm trying to remember at the end of season 3 what happened to him where he ended up. Didn't he also fall off?
Fisk broke his back in the fight. And then the
like Bane,
after I think he like shoves him up against something. Okay. But the after credit scene of season 3 is him getting surgery on his back.
Right.
Now adamantium doesn't exist yet, and I know in the comics it's supposed to be an adamantium spine.
Right.
But either way, it's like a metal spine, you know, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah. Have you seen the Ben Affleck movie?
Not in a long ass time.
Well, at the end, it's just funny. That also had the after credit scene of Bullseye in the hospital recovering from
I think
dying, essentially.
I think it's pretty safe to say that they're like probably not in these 2 episodes, but probably episodes 7, 8, and 9 is going to have something to do with Bullseye coming out of prison or whatever.
I hope so.
I'm going to assume so. I like Bullseye a lot, but
Yeah.
that opening scene, I'm just like, man, this is dumb.
Yeah.
Why all this? Why isn't he going after Fisk? Why did he get headshots on literally everybody except Foggy?
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, it's like, is there gonna be a flashback like Foggy visits Bullseye in jail, or
Right.
he's like, I need you to do something for me. Like,
Right,
Why
right.
why wasn't Bullseye even in jail?
Great question.
A good question for another time.
Does that make any sense?
No.
Because he killed a lot of people. And Fisk was fully outed, right? On using Bullseye to fake being Daredevil. I thought he was fully outed for that.
I think this is a problem they're running into because
How can Fisk run on his platform for mayor
no vigilantes.
if people know this?
Wow.